96 homes built from the ground up, sold to families, paved roads, mailboxes, playgrounds, on land that didn't belong to them. They built an entire neighborhood on my property and didn't even ask. You think I jumped up screaming? Nah, I kept my mouth shut, watched every single wall go up, let the wood settle, let the paint dry, let their mortgages close. Then I walked in, cool as ice, and put the deed on the table. That's when their jaws hit the floor. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back a bit. My name's Dakota Flint. I'm 47, divorced, 2 grown kids, structural engineer by trade, truck guy by necessity. I drive an 008 Silverado with one door that don't match the others and burns oil like it's mad at the earth. Ain't flashy, but it runs. Most days. I like black coffee, silence, and fixing what's broken. Problem is, not every break's a clean one. Some folks crack you slow. In 2019, my grandfather passed and left me 47 acres of Colorado forest. You ever inherit something that feels bigger than your life, like sticky with responsibility? That land was his pride and joy, untouched pine forest he bought back in '71 for $8,000, cash. He was military, Depression era raised, the kind of fella that kept every receipt neatly lined up like troops in a binder that smelled like pipe smoke and oil-stained flannel. He left me that land with 3 things: a hand-sketched map, a rusty key to the old cabin he built by hand, and a note written in faded ink that said, "Don't let the bastards take what's yours." I kept up with the bills, paid about $6,500 a year in property taxes, always on time, didn't matter how bad things were, and things were bad, man. Divorce came like a tornado, marriage crumbled, kids moved out, work hit harder and cost more. I'd been buried in projects, barely sleeping under deadlines. My personal life, burnt toast. So yeah, I didn't visit the land for 3 damn years, not once. Fast forward to mid-2022. My daughter Emma says to me, "Dad, did you ever scatter Pop's ashes like you promised?" It stung. I'd been carrying around Grandpa's urn in the back seat of my truck since, hell, I don't know, before the pandemic wore out its welcome. I needed a reset, so I fueled up, loaded a cooler of gas station snacks, threw in some camping gear, and took off northbound for a weekend alone. Just me, the pine trees, and the ghost of a better man. I pulled off Highway 36, right where the fire trail used to be. The map on my phone still had the GPS tag Grandpa logged before he passed. A big red dropped pin labelled home. But it wasn't trees I rolled into, it was a goddamn neighborhood. I stopped dead. I'm talking stone entrance sign, fresh landscaping, automatic gate, and a brick pathway with a fancy iron archway that read Ridgeline Heights, a Whitmore community. At first I thought I messed up. Wrong address maybe. Maybe Google Maps glitched. So I checked the coordinates. Latitude, longitude, matched exactly. My stomach dropped like a ledge gave out under me. This was my land, except now it had sidewalks, solar panels, fake rock mailboxes, and folks carting groceries out of $500,000 homes like they owned the damn soil. I pulled toward the gate, heart thumping like a jackhammer. A fresh-faced security guard with a clipboard stepped out of the booth like he was guarding Fort freaking Knox. "Sir, sorry, residents only beyond this point," he barked, like I was delivering pizza uninvited. "I think I am a resident," I said, flipping open my glove box and showing him a laminated printout of the deed from my folder. He didn't even squint, just gave me this sideways smirk like I farted in church. "Sure, buddy," he said. And I'm Elon Musk. Before I could say another word, a white Range Rover pulled up behind me, and out stepped what I can only describe as a woman who looked like money hired a stylist. Mid-50s, hair done so tight it looked laminated, jewellery flashy but not too flashy, wearing all white linen so clean I bet angels were jealous. I knew the second I saw her, this is the Queen Bee. She walked up with that, "This neighbourhood is mine" energy, not even glancing long enough to read my plate. "Problem here, Luis?" she asked the guard, not even sparing me a glance. This guy says he owns Ridgeline. Now she looks. Eyes go from my truck, to my faded jeans, to my muddy boots. I saw the file open in her head. Low income, probably divorced, probably broke. A threat level of 0. She offers a tight, empty smile. "How charming," she says. "Sweetheart, if you're looking for construction work, our crews are full up, but I can take your info." "I'm not here to work," I said, jaw tight. "This is my land. William Flint, my grandfather." I watch it register. Then, it's gone. "That land was declared abandoned 3 years ago," she snaps back, pulling out her iPhone like this was a boardroom meeting. "Our developers filed an adverse possession claim. Colorado law says if nobody occupies land for a certain number of years, it's—" "I paid taxes," I interrupted. "I ain't abandoned shat." She smiled like a rattlesnake. "You know," she said, "every now and then, someone finds just enough information online to think they understand the law. That's when people get hurt." She slipped a business card from her purse and held it between 2 fingers, like it was a napkin in a public restroom. "Here," she added. "Brian Keir, our attorney, he can walk you through why your dirt isn't really your dirt." And as if that wasn't enough, she raises her phone and snaps a photo of my plate. "Just in case you decide to come back and cause damage," she says. "We have amazing security footage, but more importantly, we have friends in the sheriff's department." Then she leaned in real slow. "People like you don't win against people like us." And just like that, she walked off, like I was a mosquito at her wine tasting. I didn't scream, didn't make a scene. I backed the truck out of the entrance, drove straight past 3 rows of those vomit-coloured homes, turned onto the highway heading south, and pulled into the first cheap motel I could find. Walked in, sat at the desk with a 6-pack of warm beer, and opened the box my grandfather left me. Inside, gold, not cash. Better, every. Damn. Receipt, tax payments, county approval letters. A photocopy of a 1979 fence permit. Photos of my grandfather holding signs with the parcel number on them like he was doing real estate mugshots. And of course, the deed. Signed. Stamped. Clear. Parcel number 555934808 owner of record, William Flint, transferred to Dakota. Flint taxes paid in full, 2019-2022 I, flipped to a page tucked behind the last tax letter. It was the county parcel map. Highlighted in my grandfather's handwriting were the original edges, the coordinates, the recorded boundaries. Then I saw it. Lot numbers, the same ones that now had houses on them. Next morning, I called Boulder County Land Records. The lady on the line sounded 20 and tired. "Hi," I said, reading her my parcel number. "Can you pull up the owner of record?" She typed for a minute. "You," she said. "Me? Yeah, Dakota Flint." "That's right. Property taxes paid in full? You're current. Then how the hell does someone build a subdivision on my land?" She paused. "Oh, let me transfer you." Spent the next 4 hours getting passed from one office to another. zoning, planning, permitting. Title. Finally, a sleepy IT tech emailed me scanned PDFs of permits filed by a shell corp called Whitmore Holdings, signed off months ago under something called constructive adverse possession. Translated, they didn't own the land, they just said they did, and nobody stopped them. And me, I was a ghost to them. But they forgot one thing: ghosts haunt the living. Let me tell you something about silence. Silence ain't just the absence of noise. It's a weapon. It's what you hear when everyone looks the other way, when neighbors see you fall but turn around to get their mail, when cops shrug, friends flake, and even your damn boss starts talking to you like you're radioactive. That's the kind of silence I fell into, and it was loud as hell. After walking back into my grandpa's legacy and finding a whole damn suburb where pine trees used to stand, I didn't blow up, didn't throw punches, didn't post some long whiny Facebook rant with Bible verses at the end. I did what he would have done. I got to work. First thing I did, I made a timeline, dates, receipts, emails. Every single thing that proved my side of the story was more than just some unshaven dude in a rusty truck with a folder. Week by week, I drove back up toward Ridgeline Heights, parked in the public turnout by the old Ranger access road, sat there and just started watching. Some folks jog past, pretending not to see me. Dogs bark at my tires. Kids zip around on scooters built better than my truck's radiator. Didn't matter. Dashcam on, timestamp running. Side camera rolling. That neighborhood was growing like weeds. Didn't care if I existed. But the thing is, those homes weren't growing on some forgotten plot. They were growing on my land. I've still got the footage. Lot 14 getting shingles stacked up like a birthday cake. Lot 35 hauling in a sub-zero fridge like they were setting up some seasoned Food Network dream. Lot 43 getting concrete poured, while the foreman flirted with a woman half his age. All of it, under video. Some real peach of a moment happened when Cassandra herself, the linen queen, came driving by in that same starch-white Range Rover. She hit the brakes so hard, the dust swirled, looked dead at my truck, lifted her phone. Another picture. Then she smirked like someone catching a raccoon in their garden. That same night, I got a visit from the boys in beige. Knock on the door. 47 p.m. Sheriff's deputy. Mid-20s. Shiny badge. Nervous energy. Mr. Flint. That's me. Need to chat. He steps in under the porch light, tapping a notepad with that kind of fed-up sigh new cops think makes them look seasoned. We've had multiple calls from Ridgeline Development. Complaints of loitering, stalking, harassment. My jaw tensed. You mean the land I legally own? He gave this half-apologetic, bureaucratic eye roll. Like, look man, I don't want to be here either. Mr. Flint, I can't weigh in on property disputes. That's a civil matter. But if one of those residents claims they feel unsafe, I gotta take a report. They've already filed 3. I could feel the trap tightening. You seen the land deed? I asked. Doesn't matter, he said. I'm just telling you, if there's another complaint or they say you stepped 1 inch past the road line, I'm required to act. He left me a card. Told me to keep things friendly. They stole my land, and I was getting threatened with cuffs. But it wasn't just cops after that. It was my daughter. It was my son. It was my job. 3 days later, I picked up my phone after ignoring it for most of the day, and there were 47 notifications, missed calls, texts, a few voicemails, first message. Dad, what the hell is going on? Second one? You need to get off Facebook right now. This is blowing up. I opened the app. Hadn't touched the damn thing in a year. Last post was a blurry Father's Day pic now. There I was, full name, license plate, picture of my truck, a long paragraph post on a local group titled, Community Alert, Man Harassing Residents at Ridgeline Heights. Be on the lookout for a man claiming he owns the neighborhood, provides fake paperwork, Seen taking videos and photos of children and homes. Authorities aware. Do not engage. Keep your family safe. 800 comments. Someone said I belonged on a registry. Someone else said not to leave their kids unattended. 1 dude called me a trespassing freak with binoculars and posted a blurry photo of me sitting in my truck like I was casing the place. Didn't take long for someone to tag my workplace. Then HR got the email. My boss called me in the next morning. Firm handshake. Tight face. I've worked with Martin for 12 years. Man's got a flag above his office door and a "Don't Tread on Me" sticker on his monitor. Not the kind of guy who rattles easy. But his eyes said it all. Dakota. Look, I believe you, he started. That's how you know bad news is coming. But the school district contract we're bidding on? They flagged your name, said they're not comfortable having you on site until this is resolved. He handed me a sealed envelope. Employee misconduct review. 2-week paid leave. He said it soft, like saying it's sweet made it less of a betrayal. I told him I understood. Walked out. Stood next to my truck. Same one with my plate photos plastered online like I was a damn fugitive, and I lost it. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I clenched the wheel, looked down at my boots, and made a decision. That night, I sat down with my binder and my files and called Marcus. He picked up on the second ring. What's going on? He asked. I laid it out. The smear campaign, the cops, the job pressure, the Facebook circus. He paused, then gave me the name I didn't know I'd been waiting for. Call Lydia Chen. Lawyer? The lawyer, he said. She doesn't settle. She scorches. I Googled her. Former federal prosecutor turned property law ghostbuster. Took down a strip mall builder for zoning fraud. Forced a ski resort to return tribal land. Known for flipping real estate lawyers sideways. Her consultation fee, $500. Charged up front. Like she was daring you to flinch. I didn't. Walked into her office the next day. Leather chairs, hardwood floors. No receptionist. Just one big oak desk and her. A woman in her 60s wearing all black. Reading glasses swinging low on a silver chain. Pen in her hand. And a look that said, "You came here to win or whine." We shook hands. I dropped my binder. Watched her flip through the contents like a private eye solving a cold case. Not a single twitch in her face. Until she saw the tax receipts going back 10 years. The deed with my name on it. The permit files with forged proofs and signatures. Her lips curled. I think she even muttered, "Jesus." She shut the binder gently, looked up at me over her readers, then she asked, "Are you ready to make some rich folks panic?" I nodded. She said, "Here's what we'll do. We let them keep building. We take notes. We document every sale they close, every permit that passed, every public listing. We wait until they think it's safe to breathe, and then we pull the pin on the grenade." I ask her, "Why wait? You interrupt now," she said. "They file bankruptcy, shift liability to contractors, and cry victim in court. You're stuck years deep. But if you wait," she leaned in, "they'll sell homes on land they don't own. That makes them criminal. Not just wrong, fraudulent." I asked her how much it'd cost. She didn't blink. 50 to 60 grand. But when we win, and we will, I get paid back in damages. I told her I had 12 saved total. Maybe 11 after gas money. She looked me dead in the eye. "Then boot up your truck and keep taking pictures. Let me worry about the courtroom. You just collect the kind of receipts that make a judge stop smiling." For the next 6 weeks, I ate gas station microwave burritos and lived off black coffee. Recorded construction on Tuesdays and Saturdays, always from across the tree line. Input date and time. Uploaded photos, labeled every lot, kept a log. And they kept pushing. Facebook started calling me a pervert, a predator, creepy Silverado guy. Then a neighborhood mom claimed on Nextdoor that I took pictures of her kids' soccer cleats. A week later, The IRS sent me a goddamn audit letter. They called it a routine review. Yeah, all right. And I'm the Easter Bunny. I called Lydia. They're trying to burn me out, I said. They're not trying, she replied. They're failing. Then she paused, said something that stuck with me. Dakota, you're fighting a machine built on lies. Gears don't turn if you take the oil away. Just keep pressing. We're close. Then she said something else. Oh, and I got us a gift. What kind of gift? She emailed me a single PDF. It was an email chain, internal from Preston Whitmore, developer, CEO of Whitmore Development, to Cassandra Whitmore. Subject line, push ridgeline before Flint wakes up, and right there. In text, parcel owner still on county records. Shows taxes paid, but no physical occupancy in years. Start permits now to lock sales. If Flint shows up later, make him look crazy. Plan to offer nuisance settlement, $25K tops. Cheaper than lawsuits. Same play as Aspen Build in 19. They knew. They knew I owned it. They knew it was active. They just didn't care. They were counting on me being dumb, broke, or scared. Too bad I was none of the above. That's when I knew. They weren't just stealing from me. They were betting I'd never fight. That all changed in that moment. I printed the email. 3 copies. One for Lydia, one for court. One that I folded and taped inside my glove box with the words, "Pull this when they forget whose land they're standing on. Because when this hits court, they're not going to be shocked. They're going to be terrified." By January, things weren't just heating up. We were cooking. We'd gone from collecting screenshots and building timelines to straight up prepping for trial. I had a binder so thick it could stop a freight train. And Lydia Chen, she was working round the clock like the devil owed her money. She didn't just want to win. She wanted to bury them so deep, they'd need a ladder to read subpoenas. Whitmore Development was still smiling for marketing shots, handing out welcome gift baskets to new families who didn't even know they were standing on stolen dirt. But behind closed doors, they were shaking. We filed full discovery motions against Whitmore Development LLC, Ridgeline Properties, Cassandra, Preston, the whole cast of crooks, subpoenaed their internal emails, their city permits, their lien approvals, and then we got lucky, real lucky. The county clerk? Turns out he used to teach high school civics. Teacher energy, sharp as a tack, smelled the BS the day Lydia handed in her request. He called us that night. One of Whitmore's zoning documents was off, he said. Off how? Lydia asked. It's missing metadata. She raised an eyebrow and put him on speaker. Meaning? He cleared his throat. It wasn't filed the day it was dated. It was backdated and uploaded 3 weeks after the permit number was assigned. That's not just shady. That's illegal if they used it to start development. Boom. That little misstep, that one lie, that unlocked the door. Now we could push deeper. Lydia called me one night, furious, in the good way. I got him, she said. Who? Preston. The paper trail on him is sloppier than a Waffle House kitchen. He's got shell companies in 3 counties. One of them, Silver Ridge Ventures, filed identical permits on abandoned farmland in Aspen back in 2019. Same claims, same scam. And get this. She kept going. We found the judge who ruled that case. He's retired now, but he told me off record he wanted to sanction the developer, but couldn't prove intent, because the original owner had thrown away tax records. But Dakota, she said, her voice shifting low, you've got every damn receipt. That's when it clicked for me. This ain't just my fight anymore. I'm not just saving my land. I'm exposing a pattern, a hustle, a blueprint they'd been using for years to scam landowners who couldn't fight back. And I was about to put them on blast for everyone to see. Finally, the first deposition. Preston Whitmore, Mr. Power, Ty himself walked into our conference room looking like he was headed to host an awards show, polished, shoes, cufflinks, Rolex with the glare of a weapon. But his smile started melting. The second Lydia Chen hit play on the email he'd written, that "push ridgeline before Flint wakes up" one. Yeah, that one. He froze, tried to sip water, missed his mouth, didn't even wait for Lydia's questions. His own attorney asked for a recess. We didn't give it. She leaned in like a poker dealer with pocket aces. "Mr. Whitmore," she said, "did you knowingly approve permits on land your internal records showed you did not own?" I followed the recommendations of our legal counsel. Answer the question. Yes or no? I don't recall. She smiled so wide it hurt to look at. You don't recall defrauding $16 million worth of pre-sales from home buyers? Click screen changed. Another scanned email. This one to a marketing director. No need to get title verification. We've run this play before. You could have heard his lawyer's stomach hit the floor. He started squinting at files like they might morph into angels and save him. They didn't. Second deposition, Cassandra. And guess what? She pled the fifth every single. Question. Name. Fifth position at Whitmore Dev? Fifth. Did you smear Dakota Flint online? Fifth. Lydia leaned back with that shit-eating grin, like it was graduation day. Now we had everything we needed. While all this was going on, buyers started getting nervous. Someone, probably, a construction worker who got stiffed, leaked our court filings to a Reddit thread called Show Hall of Shame. We watched it blow up in real time. People in Ridgeline Heights saw the post, started asking hard questions. One of them, a young mum named Sarah, messaged me anonymously on Facebook. I have 2 kids. I didn't know anything. Please don't take our house. Another guy, a contractor, called in and told Lydia he was never paid for framing 5 of the houses. He'd run into Preston at a barbecue once who bragged about how no one's going to cross him because adverse possession's a grey area. We took statements, signed affidavits, and built a wall. By the end of that week, Channel 9 in Denver ran a teaser piece. Local developer sued for selling homes on disputed land. No faces yet, but it was on. Then came the cleanest moment yet. Lydia filed a cease and desist letter to the HOA, their lawyer, a guy dumb enough to CC her on Word docs with the file path still, showing Preston Final fake deed version 3.docx. Called to set up a settlement offer. The email, our client is prepared to offer Mr. Flint $250,000 to settle claims and sign over dispute rights. Lydia didn't even laugh. She just replied with one word, no. 3 hours later, we were on a Zoom call with the whole Whitmore legal team. Lydia lights them all up, laid it out in bullet points. My client is the sole legal owner. You sold unpermitted homes. You committed fraud. We have real estate email trails, altered metadata, internal chats, and fabricated documents. We'll bankrupt you, and then we'll call the DA. Their silence. Beautiful. Price went up the next day. We told them $10 million, plus restitution to homeowners, plus resignations. Full title control returned. Non-disclosure removed. Or we go straight to trial, and media follows us in. And they cracked. First homeowner flipped sides and requested us to help them protect their title. Second one cancelled their closing and joined the lawsuit. Then 2 board members of the HOA resigned mid-meeting. The story bloomed like wildfire. By February, Lydia sent this to me at midnight. Denver Post wants an exclusive. Better start thinking about your camera side, smile. Later that week, I got a text from my daughter. Dad, they're calling you David and them Goliath in the comments. Then, also, Grandpa would totally be swearing up a storm watching this unfold. And you know what? She was right. He always said, don't go punching folks unless your footing's right. But once it is, you punch harder than hell. On February 17th, court set opening arguments for April. But that didn't matter, because now the homeowners were backing me. I sent out a letter through the lawyers, to every occupied. Ridgeline Heights address didn't use jargon. No legal threats. It just said, I know you bought in good faith. I'm not here to kick anyone out, but you were lied to, just like I was stolen from. Together we'll fix this. You'll keep your homes. I'll keep my land. They won't keep their secrets. First round of responses. Thank yous. Some tears. One dad wrote me saying he'd been trying for months to get the HOA to approve a wheelchair ramp for his kid. And they denied him because it didn't fit aesthetic guidelines. I told him, you don't need their permission anymore. You're standing on my land. And I say yes. He cried on the phone. You're a landowner, he said. But more than that, you're a standowner. That stuck with me. It's funny. I started out just wanting to scatter grandpa's ashes under some damn trees. I thought maybe I'd pitch a tent and remember who I was for a weekend. Before coming back to the grind, instead, I found a war zone dressed up as a white picket dream. I want every one of them. Cassandra, Preston, their fake lawyers, their shady shell corps, to know. They stacked 96 homes on 47 acres like it was Monopoly. But I wasn't just the player, I was the board, and now it was time to flip the whole damn table.
I've reviewed the evidence, and I'm ready to make my ruling.
There's a feeling you get walking into court when you know you're holding every damn card in the deck. Not overconfident, not cocky, just settled, like breathing in cold air before it snows. Everything's still, but you can feel the storm pressing behind your bones. That's how I felt that morning outside Boulder County Courthouse. I wore the only suit I owned, navy blue, a little tight in the shoulders, bought it for Emma's high school graduation. Hadn't worn it since the divorce. Lydia Chen stood beside me, dressed like someone who had already won 3 wars and came looking for a 4th. And across the hallway, Cassandra and Preston Whitmore. She wore a white pantsuit, like she was trying to blind the judge with fabric. He looked like a banker the day after a market crash, undone top button, eyes bouncing, sweat already gathering around his temple. Their legal team surrounded them like a fence that already knew it was being torn down. Funny thing about fraudsters, they walk into a courtroom like it's a poker table until someone shuffles the full deck of evidence in front of a federal judge. And this particular judge, Judge Angela Ramirez, mid-50s, silver-streaked hair, cold steel eyes. She didn't do small talk, didn't crack a smile, didn't waste time. We stood. She took her seat. What followed didn't feel like a hearing. It felt like an execution. Case number 2023 CV 00847, the clerk announced. Flint versus Whitmore Development LLC. Initial hearing. Judge Ramirez looked over her glasses. Ms. Chen, you're appearing for the plaintiff. Lydia stood. Yes, Your Honor. And defense? Brian Keir. Yes, that Keir. The same smug prick who slid me a settlement offer for $25,000 like he was doing me a favor, stood up, struggling to look casual. Yes, Your Honor. Ramirez wasted no time. Mr. Keir, she said briskly, I received your motion to dismiss, submitted at 4:57 p.m. last night. Care to explain why this court shouldn't sanction you for intentionally delaying the scheduling order? His throat clicked. Well, respectfully, Your Honor, the plaintiff's claim hinges on ownership. She cut him off. Didn't even wait. Did the plaintiff pay taxes on the land? Yes, but then adverse possession does not apply. What else do you have? He hesitated. Lydia handed the court a folder without a word. Ramirez flipped through it. Her eyes stopped at page 5. Is this email real? She asked, looking directly at Keir. He didn't respond. Then she turned to me. Mr. Flint, please confirm the parcel in question is 5593248. Yes, ma'am, I said steady. My grandfather bought it in 71, signed it over to me in 2019. And you've paid property tax since? Every April. That's when the storm truly hit. Lydia stood. stepped into the center of the room like it was a boxing ring. "Your Honor," she said with that lethal calm, "the evidence will show the defendants knowingly constructed, financed and sold residential real estate on land they did not own. They made this decision while possessed of full documentation that Mr. Flint was the rightful deed holder of the 47-acre parcel in dispute." She laid down documents as she spoke. Exhibit A, tax payment records. Exhibit B, original deed, scanned and verified by county recorder. Exhibit C, internal email from Preston Whitmore titled "Push Ridgeline Before Flint Wakes Up." And Exhibit D, metadata from forged permitting documents, 3 weeks post-dated. The courtroom was dead quiet. You could hear people scrolling pens nervously or sipping water like it was holy. Preston's face was pale. Cassandra's was locked up tight, jaw clenched, like she chewed her tongue to keep from speaking. Then came the moment. Lydia pulled out a single manila envelope and placed it on the table. Exhibit E, Your Honor, a whistleblower statement from a former project manager who will testify under oath that these actions were not a mistake, but part of a larger pattern of strategic development fraud across Colorado counties dating back to 2018. Judge Ramirez set the folder down slowly, stared at Keir. "If this is true, you're not just looking at civil liability. You're looking at criminal exposure." Keir blinked. "Your Honor, I'm going to need a moment to confer with my clients." "Denied," she snapped. "This case proceeds today." The next 2 hours were a blur of murders by paper. Lydia bulldozed them with their own words. Emails, reports, permit inconsistencies, bank statements, inspections never signed, permits rushed and backdated, zoning approvals obtained through campaign donations. And me? I sat still. Watched. Logged every reaction. Until finally, after every trap had been walked into, Lydia put the cherry on top. "Your Honor, as of 7:59 this morning, my team filed a motion to add federal RICO charges to our complaint. Based on the pattern of repeated fraudulent construction, shell company laundering of titles, and evidence from 3 prior developments show identical behavior, including one active in Jefferson County right now." Judge Ramirez leaned back, eyes locked on Cassandra. "You have 30 days, she said coldly, "to explain why this court should not freeze all active assets pending criminal review." And with that, the court adjourned, but their nightmare was just beginning. Out in the hallway, I was flooded, not by press, not by lawyers, by neighbors, by homeowners, from Ridgeline moms, dads, middle-aged couples, people I used to see zip by in Teslas or walk their dogs across what used to be my land. Now they stood in front of me, broken. One woman, Sarah, who'd messaged me before, came up holding papers in her hand. Her husband stood behind her, clearly lost. I could see the fear in their posture. "We didn't know," she said. "None of us knew. No one said anything about this in the closing." Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry, Mr. Flint." I looked at her, looked around. Dozens of them, panicked, real, human, and I saw it then. They weren't the enemy. Cassandra was, Whitmore. Development was. The system that let this kind of fraud slide under the radar was. I spoke loud enough to carry down the corridor. "This ain't your fault," I said. "You bought a lie thinking it was your dream. I won't take that from you, but I will make sure the people that did this to all of us pay for it. On paper, in court, and in reputation." That day, I met with Lydia and her paralegal team at the office. She called it Positioning for Decimation. We opened a whiteboard and wrote up 3 columns. Me, the rightful owner. Them, the developers, liars, fraudsters, the people. The 96 families stuck in the middle. That's who we'd protect. Together, we built the blueprint. Call it poetic. They used my land to build homes. I used their fraud to build my case. And now, I'd use both to build something even better. By the time April rolled around, the courtroom wasn't just full. It was overflowing. Local reporters, homeowners, lawyers, even a couple law students sitting dead center jotting notes like they were watching history happen. Hell, maybe they were. Channel 9 rolled up in a van, parked on the curb, and started filming live outside before the damn doors even opened. I'd come a long way from sitting in my truck with a thermos and a dashcam pointed at beige houses. Inside, Cassandra sat 2 rows back from the defense table. She wasn't wearing linen anymore. This time it was a full black suit. Probably custom, but it couldn't hide how grey her face had gone. Preston didn't show. He was hiding behind his attorney, and a signed affidavit claiming health, complications, and some high blood pressure nonsense. Lydia smiled when she saw it. "He's not sick," she whispered to me. "He's scared." Good. Judge Ramirez opened the day with fire in her eyes. "Let me be crystal clear," she said. "This case is not about one man and one developer. What's at stake here is the integrity of property law in this county. If we allow fraud to define ownership, we lose the foundation that every family, every owner, and every future buyer relies on." That courtroom went dead silent. Lydia brought the thunder. First, she laid out the timeline again. Crisp, cold, undeniable. Then she dropped the email trail. That push ridgeline before Flint wakes up line, projected on a screen, bolded. The judge stared at it like a rifle scope. Next came the financial records. Shell companies tied to shell companies. LLCs anchored in Delaware. Crossed payments, every move designed to confuse, bury, and overwhelm. But Lydia made it simple. "These homes weren't built on misunderstanding," she said. "They were built on theft." And then, the moment that nailed the coffin shut, the city planner from Whitmore's Aspen development showed up. He testified clean as a whistle. "How many times," Lydia asked him, "have you seen Preston or Cassandra Whitmore submit fraudulent zoning documents?" He didn't even blink. 3 times. Different cities. Same exact strategy. Deny, deny, settle. It's their whole playbook. The court took a recess for lunch. I walked outside for air, and that's when it hit me how big this thing had gotten. People clapped. I don't mean like polite applause. I mean tears in the eyes, hug your hand. Thank you for not quitting kind of claps. One guy, maybe in his 40s, stopped me mid-step. "Hey man," he said. "I fought my HOA for 1 year over a 6-inch deck extension. Thought I was going to lose my damn mind." He swallowed hard. "You took down the whole machine." I just nodded. Didn't know what to say. Truth is, I hadn't taken anything down yet, but I was close. Afternoon session brought it all home. Lydia called Channel 9's legal analyst to the stand. She wasn't a lawyer in the case, but she had reviewed the contracts that Whitmore Dev used to close on the homes for Ridgeline Heights. And she said the quiet part out loud. These contracts would never have survived a 10-minute due diligence inspection. Anyone who looked past the curtain would have seen there was no clear ownership. Buyers were misled. Cassandra's lawyer objected. Judge overruled it instantly. It was like watching a building fall in slow motion. And then, the ruling. Judge Ramirez pulled out 18 pages of printed notes. Read the ruling from the bench, firm, crisp. No mercy. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff. Mr. Dakota Flint ownership of parcel 559324008 remains legally and exclusively in his name. The court further finds Whitmore Development LLC, Cassandra Whitmore, and Preston Whitmore jointly and individually liable for fraud, trespassing, emotional distress, and unlawful enrichment to the total judgment of $4.25 million. But that wasn't the number that stopped the room. This was. Furthermore, Due to intentional malicious action, the court hereby grants full transfer of all structures built unlawfully on the plaintiff's land to his sole control. I now owned 96 completed houses. I should have been feeling like a king, but I wasn't, because I looked back and saw all those faces, the homeowners, teachers, veterans, nurses, young, couples, seniors. They weren't smiling, they were scared. Some held on to each other. Some wore looks like they were about to lose everything they'd worked their lives for. Moms reached for their kids' hands. Older folks bowed their heads. I knew that fear. It ain't numbers that break people. It's uncertainty. They thought I was going to march in like a landlord with a wrecking crew. I didn't. I called a meeting. All 96 were invited. No lawyers. No media. We met at the clubhouse Cassandra had promised them, but half finished, the one sitting empty like a hollow lemon. I stood at the front with Lydia beside me, and everyone else sat in rows of folding chairs like anxious students waiting for detention. Then I spoke. "I'm not going to take your homes," I said simply. "You were lied to, just like I was stolen from." Then I dropped the hammer. I'm transferring ownership of all 96 homes into a brand new, independent non-profit, something called the Ridgeline Heights Community Trust. People blinked, looked confused, whispered. "Each family will maintain ownership of their property," I continued. "You'll keep your home, your key, your dignity, and if your house is paid off, it's yours. If you're in payments, your money goes toward maintaining the roads and utilities, not someone else's pockets." Gasps. One guy clapped, then stopped like he wasn't sure if it was okay. Then I said one more thing. There's no HOA. There never will be again. Just neighbors in an agreement. That's real community. And then silent tears. Then applause. Real applause. It took a year to finalize the transfers. Lydia's team stepped in, managed the documents. We built a board, community-led, all volunteer. The gates stayed open, the playground got finished, and that half-built clubhouse, well, we turned that sucker into a rec hall, with a library and an indoor-outdoor porch for old-timers to shoot the breeze like Grandpa used to. And me, I didn't keep the $425 million judgment. I waived half. Used it to start the William Flint Memorial Scholarship, $10,000 a year, for kids from working families in Boulder. County going into environmental science. Civil engineering or law first recipient? Sarah's daughter, 10 years old, already asking how land grants work. Grandpa would have been proud. As for Cassandra and Preston, they lost everything. Range Rover, gone Aspen cabin, foreclosed, their company dissolved, their names. Toast Preston took a deal, paid a $1.1 million fine, and was banned from ever holding an officer role in any property or development company again. Cassandra caught worse. The judge added a stipulation. Defendant is barred from involvement in any HOA, housing board, municipal development position, or related fiduciary entity throughout the state of Colorado. For life. She tried to spin it, said it was political, called it a smear campaign. No one bought it, not anymore. As for me, I kept 5 acres for myself, right near the original northern ridge, where the trees Grandpa planted never got touched. The sole survivor corner of the forest. Built a 2-bed cabin, nothing grand, steel roof, river rock wood stove, a screened-in porch with 2 chairs and a gap where the wind sings through. I planted a flag out front. Not an American flag, a flag with black lettering that reads, "Don't let the bastards take what's yours." You know what I've learned? Land ain't about borders. It's about legacy. It's not just dirt under your feet. It's the memory that planted roots there before you ever showed up. It's your family's truth. It's your fight. It's what your kids inherit, and what your enemies hope you'll give up without a fight. But the thing is, I never quit. Not when they laughed, not when they slandered me, not when they tried to make me out as some crazy loner with binoculars and trucker stubble, 'cause I knew who I was, and I had the receipts. So let me ask you something. You ever had something taken from you like that? You ever been made to feel like nothing because you didn't wear the right watch, drive the right car, or donate to the sheriff's department golf tournament? You ever get called crazy for knowing you were right, yeah? Then I know you get me. Drop your state in the comments. Let me know where your land rights heart beats, because we're not just homeowners, we're not just taxpayers, we're Americans. And on my land, we don't roll over